Hello, this is Dr. Bruno Hardman, and welcome to my medical channel. Here, we talk about health, prevention, and the latest treatment methods. Most men beyond the age of 60 remain unaware that the way they consume water, yes, simple plain water, could be the hidden cause behind their weakening erections, low energy, and reduced testosterone. It might sound unbelievable, but after treating thousands of men over more than 30 years, I can assure you the issue is not always age itself, but rather your daily routines. One of the most ignored habits is the manner and timing of drinking water. I am Dr. Bruno Hardman, a board-certified urologist and specialist in men's health with 3 decades of experience. I have met many men in their 60s, 70s, and 80s who arrived feeling frustrated, defeated, and certain that their best years were behind them. Yet repeatedly, I witness how simple adjustments, such as improving hydration habits, can reinvigorate their vitality, performance, and self-assurance in ways they never imagined possible. Imagine if I told you that even slight dehydration can thicken your blood, impair circulation, reduce testosterone levels, and increase stress hormones, all of which make achieving and maintaining an erection more difficult. And what if the remedy was not a medication, but simply a glass of water consumed properly? In this video, I will share 8 powerful, evidence-based truths about water and erectile health that many older men wish they had discovered much earlier. These are the very principles I apply with my patients every single day. Toward the end, I will also reveal a little-known morning habit that can make a significant difference. Here is a simple technique that requires only 7 seconds and works perfectly alongside proper hydration to enhance blood circulation and improve performance in the bedroom. Keep watching, because this could be the most valuable video you watch all year. Before we get started, if you are truly committed to boosting your health and regaining your confidence, be sure to subscribe and activate the bell notification so you never miss out on practical, science-based tips tailored specifically for men over 60. If this content connects with you, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 so I can better tailor future videos to your needs. Now, let us dive right in. The first crucial topic is blood circulation, because without it, an erection simply cannot happen. What many men fail to understand is that blood is mainly composed of water. This means that if you are even slightly dehydrated, your blood thickens, slows down, and becomes more difficult to move throughout your body. When blood flow is restricted, especially to the most important areas, your ability to achieve and maintain an erection suffers directly. Let me explain further. Water is blood's closest ally, and erections depend entirely on healthy blood flow. After more than 30 years of confidential conversations with men, including those just like you, I have learned one key piece of information. The most common complaint I hear is not always about testosterone levels or sexual desire. Instead, it is often, "Doc, it's just not working like it used to." And in the majority of cases, before considering hormones or medication, I ask one essential question: how? How much water are you really consuming? Most men tend to laugh it off. They say, "I drink coffee in the morning and maybe some soda with lunch, but hardly any water." However, the reality is that an erection is fundamentally a hydraulic process. It all depends on pressure. Blood must flow rapidly into the penis, fill its chambers, and be retained there. Yet if your blood is too thick too slow, or struggles to move properly, that necessary pressure never develops. You might feel desire, but physically your body fails to perform. Blood consists of over 90% water. Therefore, even mild dehydration causes your blood to thicken. Your heart then works harder to push it around. This results in reduced oxygen and nutrient supply, and naturally decreased blood flow to the penis. This is not just my viewpoint. It is basic human biology. One of my patients, James, a 68-year-old former coach, visited my office looking down and said, "Doc, it is not working anymore. I think I am too old." He had resigned himself to this condition as normal. But examining his lifestyle showed he was doing almost everything right, except drinking water. No serious illnesses, no prescriptions, just ongoing dehydration. I suggested he try one simple change: sipping water slowly and consistently throughout the day. No gulping or very cold bottles, just steady hydration. 2 weeks later, he returned smiling broadly. I do not know what changed, he said, but something is working again. And the only thing he altered was his water drinking habit. That is the impact of staying properly hydrated. It thins your blood, boosts circulation, and supports every function your body relies on to perform at its best. Achieving this does not require much effort, just persistence. Most men are unaware that even slight dehydration can reduce blood volume enough to affect performance. You might not feel thirsty, yet your body has already begun to slow down. Your erection quality diminishes, recovery takes longer, and your confidence quietly erodes over time. What makes this even more crucial is that your blood does more than transport oxygen. It also carries hormones like testosterone, nitric oxide, and vital nutrients, all traveling through your bloodstream to reach their destinations. If this system is not flowing well, nothing operates as it should. So the next time you feel your body is failing you, avoid jumping straight to conclusions about aging. Instead, ask yourself, am I drinking enough water to keep my blood working effectively? This is just the starting point. Even when your water intake is sufficient, another internal factor might be undermining your performance, and it is far more threatening than poor blood circulation. This involves a hormone every man needs and what happens to it when your body switches into survival mode. Let's explore this further. Dehydration subtly decreases testosterone levels. I recall sitting across from a man named Walter who was 72 years old, recently widowed, and still living on his sharp mind, clear eyes, yet his energy was diminishing. He gazed at me and said, "Doc, I do not feel sick. I simply do not feel like myself anymore." There was no emergency, no apparent medical crisis, but something inside him had dimmed, and he could not explain why. We talked. He was not on any significant medications. He exercised occasionally, ate reasonably well, and was not experiencing depression, yet he felt flat, lacking drive, motivation, and any real interest in intimacy. Beneath it all, a quiet fear whispered, "Am I finished?" I ordered his lab tests. His testosterone was below average levels. Not dangerously low, but enough to clarify why he felt unwell. When I questioned his water intake, he confessed almost hesitantly, "Probably not much, to be honest." There it was. Most men do not understand that dehydration causes much more than fatigue or thirst. It pushes the entire body into survival mode. The system begins conserving energy, safeguarding vital organs, regulating body temperature, and maintaining blood pressure. Anything not crucial for survival, such as reproduction, libido, muscle building, and testosterone synthesis, gets put on hold. Testosterone means more than just sexual function. It stands for motivation, strength, and identity. It is the passion inside that defines masculinity. Yet, when the body detects a shortage of water, it dampens that passion to preserve itself. Over time, greater dehydration causes this hormonal imbalance to settle in as the new normal. But that is not everything. Dehydration also invites another adversary: cortisol. Cortisol is the key hormone related to stress. When you are dehydrated, your cortisol levels surge dramatically. Here lies the challenge. Cortisol and testosterone cannot be dominant simultaneously. As cortisol climbs, testosterone declines, functioning like a seesaw. Unfortunately, many men over 60 find themselves unknowingly caught on the unfavorable end of this balance. Let me return to James's story. Instead of prescribing testosterone injections or hormone replacement therapy, I chose a simpler approach, a hydration plan. He began drinking water right after waking up, carried a bottle with him throughout the day, and took steady, small sips instead of waiting until thirst hit. He also avoided caffeine in the afternoon, steered clear of alcohol before bedtime, and paid close attention to his body's signals. 4 weeks later, James returned to my office noticeably energized. "Doc," he shared enthusiastically, "I feel alert again, I'm smiling more, and I even want to date. That spark is back." It was astonishing to witness that all it took was supplying his body with a fundamental element it had been silently longing for: water. The reality is that numerous older men do not suffer from hormone deficiency, but rather from prolonged dehydration, a fact rarely communicated to them. However, even if you drink water daily, many men commit one critical error. It is not about the quantity, but the manner of consumption. This simple oversight might explain why your body has not reacted as you desire. Let me explain what it is. Most men drink water incorrectly. When I first shared this insight with men, how men consume water has a direct impact on their erections. To be truthful, most of the men laughed at me when I brought this up. I will never forget it. James, a retired truck driver in his late 60s, a large man with a straightforward attitude, looked at me with a grin and said, "Doc, it's just water. What am I supposed to do? Pray over it?" I smiled gently and replied, "No, James, but you do have to respect it." This is where many men go wrong. They assume drinking water is as simple as gulping down a bottle whenever they feel thirsty. Yet, the reality is, by the time thirst arrives, the body is already lacking hydration. When people consume a large quantity of water all at once, especially if it is very cold, the body struggles to absorb it properly. Instead of hydrating the cells, the water rushes quickly through the system, putting too much strain on the kidneys and washing away important minerals. It's like dumping a bucket of water onto a dry sponge. Instead of soaking in, it just spills over. The body craves steady, regular amounts of water throughout the day. This consistent intake maintains blood volume, balances the nervous system, and keeps hormones regulated. Interestingly, even the posture you take while drinking matters. Sipping water while seated, rather than standing or moving, activates the parasympathetic nervous system, known as the rest and digest state, which enhances absorption. Here is a tip that most men have never encountered. Allowing the water to mix with your saliva for a few seconds before swallowing helps your body process it better. Although this sounds like a small, old-fashioned habit, recent science supports its effectiveness. Michael was doubtful at first, but decided to give it a chance. He stopped gulping cold water straight from the refrigerator and began sipping water at room temperature slowly throughout the day. He made sure to sit down while drinking and started tuning in to his body's signals for hydration instead of waiting until he was extremely thirsty. After about 3 weeks, he called my office eagerly. "Doctor," he said, "I have no idea what kind of miracle this is, but I feel more powerful not only in bed, but in every aspect of my life." That is not a miracle, that is biology. When you honor your body's natural way of absorbing water, it responds with improved circulation, more balanced energy, sharper concentration, and yes, stronger erections. It is not about drinking more, rather drinking smarter. Most mature men never learned this lesson. They think hydration is only about how much water they consume. However, the quality and method of hydration matter enormously. Picture your body like a classic engine. You would never flood it with fuel in one quick surge, expecting smooth performance. Instead, you would supply it gradually, carefully, and consistently. Your body functions in the same manner. Here's the tricky part. Even if you hydrate correctly, there might be small, everyday behaviors that undo all your efforts. These little habits might seem innocent, but they quietly drain water from your system and prevent you from benefiting fully. Let's examine those 4 hidden habits that sabotage proper hydration. Nothing is more discouraging than doing everything right and not seeing the expected outcome. I often encounter this with my older patients, men who decide to increase their water intake, adjust their routines, and genuinely try to improve their health, only to return weeks later saying, "Doctor, I feel somewhat better, but not as much as I thought I would." This was exactly the case with Harold, a 74-year-old retired pilot who meticulously followed my hydration guidelines. He sipped water slowly, avoided cold drinks, and drank only while seated. He adhered to every instruction. Yet, when he sat opposite me during his follow-up appointment, he appeared confused and said, "Doctor, I anticipated a greater improvement." We then examined his daily habits more closely and uncovered seemingly minor decisions that were actually counterproductive. Like many men, Harold began his day with a strong cup of coffee. Later in the evening, he enjoyed a glass of wine with his meal. After eating a juicy orange or several pieces of watermelon, he would wash it down with a large glass of water. At face value, none of these actions seemed problematic until we analyzed them from the perspective of hydration. Both caffeine and alcohol act as diuretics, meaning they promote fluid loss by increasing urine production. This process removes water from your body, causing a level of dehydration that often goes unnoticed. You may believe you are staying hydrated by drinking water, but if you are just trying to compensate after consuming coffee or alcohol, you are merely chasing hydration without really catching up. There is also the matter of timing when it comes to hydration. Drinking water immediately after eating water-rich fruits such as oranges, grapes, or melons can thin out your digestive enzymes and lead to bloating. When this occurs, your body struggles to absorb nutrients efficiently, and the benefits of drinking water diminish. Even something as harmless as consuming excessive water too quickly, which we refer to as overhydration, can wash away vital minerals like sodium, magnesium, and potassium. These minerals are crucial for nerve functions, muscle movement, and yes, your sexual health. Once James grasped this, we made a few simple changes. He began to space out his water intake more purposefully, drinking before meals instead of following fruit consumption. He reduced his coffee and wine intake slightly and added a small pinch of sea salt to his morning glass to help maintain essential electrolytes. Within a few days, he told me, "Doc, it feels like my body finally understands I feel balanced, and as if I am cooperating with my body rather than fighting against it." Sometimes the answer isn't about doing more, but about removing subtle habits that silently work against your progress. Once you get rid of those hidden errors, the positive effects of hydration start working in your favor, almost as if an internal switch has been turned on. What truly excites me is this science is starting to confirm just how effective proper hydration can be, not only in theory, but through measurable changes you can notice and experience, such as firmer results. Improved erections, increased energy, and sharper thinking are not merely claims, but rooted in biology. The next part will clearly explain why this is true. Let's explore what scientific research reveals. Here are 5 benefits of adequate hydration for sexual health, all supported by evidence. One of the most fulfilling aspects of my work is seeing science validate what we have intuitively known. When the body receives exactly what it needs, it reacts positively. This is not about gimmicks or quick solutions, but about restoring the natural processes that should always function properly. I recall James, a 70-year-old man who consulted me not because of any particular illness, but because he felt like he was gradually fading away. There was no pain or sickness, yet his vitality seemed to be diminishing. He once felt motivated, alert, and connected with life. But now, as he told me, "Doctor, I feel like I am just existing." During our conversation, it became apparent that he had resigned himself to these changes as typical signs of aging. His sexual activity had decreased, his concentration faltered, his blood pressure was rising, his skin appeared lifeless, and his energy plummeted by noon. He attributed all this to being in his 70s. What struck me most was how little water James consumed. It was not a refusal, but simply not a priority for him. Like many men his age, He drank only when he remembered, without making it a habit. I encouraged him to commit to proper hydration, not merely drinking more, but drinking in a better way. Taking small, consistent sips throughout the day, at room temperature, while sitting calmly, avoiding gulping or sudden cold intake. James was doubtful at first about not depending on thirst as a cue, but he decided to give it a try. After 6 weeks, his life had transformed completely. His erections returned with greater firmness. His blood pressure lowered significantly. His complexion became noticeably healthier. Mentally, he grew sharper and more emotionally engaged. One evening, his wife softly inquired, "Are you all right? You seem like your old self again." That simple question marked a turning point for him. It was no longer merely about physical intimacy. It represented a revival of life, a restored sense of awareness. This change was not due to mere luck. Scientific studies back what James and many others have personally witnessed. Proper hydration decreases blood thickness, promoting easier flow throughout the body. It supports vital organs such as the liver and kidneys, which are essential for hormonal balance. A well-hydrated brain functions with greater clarity. Muscles contract more efficiently when hydrated. Blood buoyed by sufficient fluids transports oxygen and testosterone to exactly where it is needed, especially during intimate moments. Even a slight reduction in hydration by 1 or 2% can worsen mood, memory, and concentration. On the other hand, staying well hydrated fosters feelings of calmness, self-assurance, and stronger connections not only with oneself, but also with a partner. Improved circulation leads to better erection quality. This is no placebo effect, but solid scientific fact. James's experience is far from rare. Dr. Michael Carter encounters these incredible improvements in men every week once they start prioritizing hydration as a vital foundation of their health rather than an afterthought. Change frequently arises from the smallest adjustments. However, there is another factor that makes staying hydrated even more vital as you age. This is something rarely discussed by doctors, but is crucial for every man beyond 60 to grasp. It concerns how the aging process alters the body's requirements and why neglecting hydration becomes costly. Let's dive into this next. 6 reasons why hydration is increasingly important after 60. Few warn you about what happens when you pass 60. It is not merely the changes in your body, but the fact that it no longer compensates for unhealthy habits. In younger years, missing meals, staying awake late, or forgetting to drink water often did not prevent you from feeling all right the next day. Perhaps not at your best, but still operational. Beyond 60, however, these small oversights accumulate quickly. You begin to sense your energy failing to recover as before, your concentration waning, your mood lowering, and even intimacy becoming different. More sluggish, less strong, and less responsive. One of my patients, James, a retired electrician aged 67, expressed it perfectly when he said, "Doc, I feel like someone turned the volume down on my life." Those words struck me deeply because I have encountered similar sentiments from hundreds of men. It is not solely about sexual performance, nor only about intimate moments. It is about presence. It is about truly feeling alive and comfortable in your own body. During our conversation, James and I uncovered a common issue I observe in many older men. Over time, his hydration levels had gradually dropped. Not deliberately, but simply as life unfolded. He began to get busier and noticed he wasn't feeling as thirsty. Coffee and the occasional beer replaced water in his daily routine. Gradually, a subtle dehydration crept in and started to wear him down. His blood circulation was declining from its usual state. His hormone levels were falling. His mind felt clouded, and like many men, he simply believed this was a normal part of aging. However, it does not have to be this way. After merely a few weeks of consistent intentional hydration, drinking room temperature water in slow sips during the day, avoiding cold gulps, and stopping fluid intake at least 1 hour before bed, Frank began feeling different. His mornings became more manageable. His thinking sharpened. The long afternoon naps ceased. And yes, his erections returned stronger and more naturally. Yet beyond that, his vitality revived. His posture improved. He looked me in the eye once again, saying, "I didn't realize how far I had slipped until I found myself again." This is the power of proper hydration. When your body is no longer 25, especially after crossing 60, every system depends increasingly on balance. The cardiovascular system requires smoother blood circulation. Hormone regulation grows more delicate. Kidneys and liver labor harder to eliminate toxins and maintain metabolism. Without sufficient water and the appropriate hydration habits, these systems begin to falter gradually until one morning you awaken wondering where your vitality vanished. The reality is that water is no longer optional. Dr. Michael Carter emphasizes that drinking water is not merely a response to thirst. It is a practice you must maintain deliberately and with care. This mindset shift alone can transform everything. If you truly want to elevate your well-being, not only through proper hydration, but with improvements you can notice in daily life, including intimate moments, there is an additional crucial factor you need to discover. It involves a straightforward 7-second habit that complements effective hydration and unlocks genuine sustainable performance. Allow me to explain what this entails. Through my experience, I have learned that the initial minutes of your morning hold the power to influence your energy levels, your mental state, and the way your body functions throughout the day. This is especially true after you turn 60, when those early moments gain even more significance. While staying hydrated forms the base for good health, I share a simple, 7-second ritual with my patients that amplifies the benefits substantially. Practiced regularly, it can revive parts of yourself that may have been dormant for years. James, a patient who has worked with me for a long time, was 71 when he first consulted me. He diligently followed a hydration routine, drinking water at room temperature throughout the day, steering clear of cold beverages and factors that lead to dehydration, which helped him improve. His energy rose and his mood lifted, yet something felt incomplete. He told me, "Doctor, I feel well, but not great. It's like I am nearly there, but not quite." That was when I introduced James to the 7-second morning method. It is straightforward and needs no special tools. Only you, your breathing, and your focus are required. The process is easy. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. Hold it for several moments. Then gently breathe out through the nose once more. This action triggers the release of nitric oxide, a natural molecule produced by your body that serves as a signal for blood circulation. It instructs your blood vessels to relax and widen, allowing increased oxygen-rich blood flow to every area of your body, including the one you are probably thinking about right now. For most men beyond 60, nitric oxide levels tend to decline. This reduction contributes to weakened blood circulation with age, even if the heart remains healthy. By practicing a few mindful breaths every morning immediately after drinking your first glass of water, you can activate this mechanism and boost your circulation. This practice is gentle, natural, and works in harmony with your body rather than against it. James was doubtful initially and asked, "Doctor, how can breathing improve anything?" I smiled and replied, "Just give it a fortnight." After 2 weeks, he returned looking lighter, as if a weight had been lifted. He said, "Doctor, I cannot fully explain it, but I feel like I have been switched on again. My body seems to remember how to function properly." That is the essence of this approach. It is not about transforming you into someone different. It is about assisting your body to recall who you have always been. Combine smart hydration with this 7-second nitric oxide enhancing practice, and you signal your body that it is time to function fully. Not only in a sexual sense, but mentally, emotionally, and energetically as well. What excites me about this method is its simplicity. No supplements, no complex timetables, no waiting for prescriptions. Just water, controlled breathing, and a few moments of focused intention. When you integrate these elements day after day, you start to rebuild your foundation. You strengthen your daily hydration habits to support firmer erections. One of the questions I often hear from men over 60 is, "Doctor, I understand hydration matters, but just tell me plainly what to do." I recognize that at this point in life, vague advice or complicated explanations only add confusion. You need straightforward guidance, something manageable and effective. That is why I created a clear daily hydration routine. It is based not only on scientific principles, but also on real-life triumphs of patients I have treated in my own practice. James was among them. At 66, a retired firefighter, he arrived feeling exhausted. Years of stress, disrupted sleep, and inconsistent routines had drained him. His erections were weak, energy fluctuated unpredictably, and he no longer felt like himself. He was open to trying anything but refused pills or empty assurances. I said to him, "Let's restore your foundation, starting with water." I recommended this routine. First thing each morning before coffee or food, drink a whole glass of water at room temperature. Slowly while sitting, within 2 hours drink another glass. This time adding a small pinch of sea salt to help your body maintain essential minerals. Around midday, enjoy 1 or 2 more glasses. Again, sitting down and without rushing. In the afternoon, have an additional glass, especially if you consumed caffeine or spent time in the heat. Then, early in the evening, take your final glass, stopping at least 1 hour before going to bed to avoid disturbing your sleep. He followed this routine carefully. No skipping, no rushing, no gulping cold water, just intentional and steady hydration every single day. Within 3 weeks, James noticed he was more focused. His usual afternoon fatigue disappeared. He slept more deeply. Most importantly, he told Dr. Michael Carter, "Doctor, I am responding again. When the time feels right, my body actually shows up." Such progress, real and tangible improvement, starts by giving your body what it has quietly needed all along. This method is simple and does not require you to carry a huge container or count every ounce. It is about rhythm. It is about providing your body with water when it needs it most. After rest, during digestion, before stress, and in preparation for recovery. When you follow this pattern, your blood flow improves, your hormones find balance, and the quality of your erections begins to reflect the health you have been striving to regain. I want to emphasize something important here. This is not only about erections. It is about vitality. It is about facing each day with clarity, energy, and confidence. It is about restoring your connection with your body. Your well-being and that of your partner begins with water and starts this very day. You have examined the scientific facts, listened to the experiences, and grasped the approach. Before concluding, I want to share one final thought that ties everything together and reminds you why this seemingly minor adjustment holds greater significance than you might have believed. Stay attentive, as this closing message could be the key to transforming your life completely. In my career spanning the last 30 years, I have been fortunate to meet thousands of men, dependable and resilient, who entered my office feeling broken. Some assumed their best days were behind them, while others believed their passion was lost forever. Yet time after time, I have witnessed their lives transform not through medications or surgeries, but through something as fundamental and overlooked as water. You now understand how hydration significantly influences your sexual wellness and overall energy far more than many medical professionals disclose. You have learned that blood circulation, essential for a firm erection, relies on fluid blood that flows freely, and this blood consists of more than 90% water. We explored how even mild dehydration thickens the blood, strains the heart, and decreases the oxygen and nutrients delivered to the critical parts of your body. Additionally, we revealed how dehydration affects hormone levels by lowering testosterone, increasing cortisol, and causing you to feel tired, mentally cloudy, and detached not just from your partner, but from your own sense of self. I told the story of Walter, who believed he was losing his sharpness only to regain it when he started drinking water with intention. Now you realize that most men hydrate incorrectly by rushing through it, neglecting it, or assuming that quantity alone suffices. However, your body flourishes on consistency, on steady routines, and on habits that promote absorption and harmony. You have discovered how to avoid frequent errors such as drinking water immediately after caffeine or alcohol, or gulping it down after consuming water-rich fruits, since these habits counteract the progress you strive so hard to achieve. You witnessed how genuine men like James, Carl, Frank, Richard, and Greg improved not just their sexual abilities, but also their confidence, vitality, and mindset solely by mastering proper hydration. With every example, I hope you experienced a spark inside you. Not shame or regret, but hope and possibility. Because here is what I want you to hold on to. Your body still desires to function well. It might have slowed or grown quieter compared to before, yet deep inside you remains the same engine you had in your 30s. It is merely waiting for the right conditions to awaken again. Water plays a vital role in that. Breathing plays a role. Daily rhythm and purposeful habits also contribute. And all these things are completely in your hands. So never allow anyone, whether your age, your past, or your doubts, to persuade you that your prime years are over. You possess more strength than you imagine, and untapped potential just waiting to be unleashed. You are more resilient than you realize and have more time available than you imagine. Each sip of water, every breath you draw, and every small choice to take care of yourself counts as a commitment to the person you continue to be. Begin today with simplicity. Restore your energy, regain your strength, and reclaim your body one glass at a time. If you are prepared to move forward and keep progressing toward a stronger and more vibrant version of yourself, stay tuned with me. There is much more ahead. More scientific insights, additional strategies, and truths that no one else will share. For now, remember this advice. Remain hydrated and stay strong.